Have you ever felt the subtle tug of an invisible chain binding your thoughts, shaping your desires, without a single word being spoken? This is not a fleeting shadow, but a profound, chilling whisper that can echo through the deepest chambers of the soul, leaving one questioning the very origin of their own will. It is the sting of realizing that perhaps the decisions you believed were yours alone were in fact merely echoes of another's silent command. This unsettling truth, this silent manipulation, can hollow out the core of our being, leaving us adrift in a sea of borrowed intentions, separated from the unshakable power of our authentic self. Nietzsche, with his piercing gaze into the abyss of human nature, understood this subtle dominion not as brute force, but as an insidious erosion of the individual will, a quiet shaping of the spirit that prevents authentic self-authorship. He saw how society, how culture, how even our closest relationships could weave intricate nets of influence, subtly guiding our path without our conscious consent. This is the dark secret we rarely speak of, the unseen hand that prunes our growth, not always for our benefit, but often to fit us into a preordained shape. The mask you wear is not your true face. Uncover the will beneath. Imagine a towering oak reaching for the sun, believing its trajectory to be solely its own. Yet, from its earliest moments, unseen forces, the prevailing winds, the subtle lean of the soil, the shadow of neighboring giants, have guided its growth, dictating the curve of its branches, the density of its leaves. The tree, in its majestic solitude, might never perceive these silent architects of its form. So too are we often shaped, our deepest convictions and aspirations subtly bent by currents we neither see nor question. How often do we mistake the currents of external influence for the true winds of our own destiny? This profound psychological disempowerment, this gnawing sense of an internal division, stems from a surrender of our radical independence, a quiet capitulation of our will to the wills of others. It is the fear of being manipulated, of having our innermost strength subdued, that haunts the intellectually curious soul. We yearn for a profound self-understanding, for psychological mastery that is integrative, not fractured. We seek authentic personal power, distinct from the manipulative tactics that corrode the spirit. Today, we step into this disquieting truth, not to embrace cynicism, but to forge an unshakable inner strength, to reclaim the sovereign territory of our own will, and to begin the sacred work of profound self-authorship. We do this not to gain power over others, but to fortify the power within ourselves, to become impenetrable to the subtle artifice of silent manipulation. Friedrich Nietzsche offers us not a comforting balm, but a necessary sharp blade to cut through these unseen bonds. His dark insights are not a descent into despair, but an unflinching gaze into the hidden truths of human nature and power dynamics. He shows us the origins of our values, the subtle ways we internalize external judgments, and the profound cost of living a life not truly our own. Beyond good and evil lies the path to authentic self-authorship. His philosophy is a torch, illuminating the shadowy corners where silent manipulation thrives, demanding that we confront what is uncomfortable to become truly free. This journey is not one of weakness, but a profound strength. Your greatest strength lies not in conformity, but in radical self-overcoming. It is the path of the individual who chooses to stand firm against the currents, to discern their own deepest will amidst the clamor of external expectations. To truly understand and resist silent manipulation, we must first understand ourselves, our own vulnerabilities, and the wellspring of our power. As Nietzsche himself proclaimed, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." By confronting these hidden mechanisms, by dissecting the subtle ways our will can be compromised, we do not become victims. We become fortified, resilient, and utterly independent. This exploration promises not just knowledge, but a profound transformation, an unveiling of the self you were always meant to be. Are you ready to embrace the abyss within? It holds the blueprint for your unshakable power. The human soul, in its earnest quest for meaning, often seeks solace and structure within the established boundaries of good and evil. Yet, within this very search lies a profound vulnerability. We are taught from the tenderest moments to navigate the world by these moral compasses, to adhere to ethical frameworks that promise order and belonging. But what if these very frameworks, seemingly benevolent, are in fact the invisible threads of silent manipulation, weaving a tapestry of self-doubt and unexamined values that subtly trap us? This is the silent wound, the pain of seeking truth in a world where morality itself can be a superficial facade, binding us to narratives that are not truly our own. Nietzsche, in his relentless pursuit of honesty, dared to inspect the very origins of these moral concepts. He saw how the herd's whisper distorts the very essence of authentic power, transforming it into a desperate yearning for conformity. We are lured into believing that genuine self-mastery means adhering to universally accepted good, rather than forging an individual excellence rooted in our deepest will. This fosters a crippling dependence on external validation, a paralyzing fear of judgment that keeps us from truly expressing our unshakable power. The true measure of your independence is your indifference to external validation. This profound insight leads us to the unsettling truth of the revaluation of all values. Nietzsche revealed that many virtues we uphold, those deemed noble and selfless, are often subtle tools of control, born from what he termed slave morality. These values, rather than empowering the individual, are designed to suppress the unique will, to perpetuate a state of psychological weakness and dependence. They are the chains forged not of iron, but of internalized guilt and perceived obligation, subtly guiding us away from our radical independence and profound self-authorship. Consider the powerful metaphor of the dragon of thou shalt not. Nietzsche envisioned a spiritual journey where the initial stage of the spirit is likened to a camel burdened by the weight of societal thou shalts. These are the internalized societal and moral commands, the unspoken rules that silently manipulate our desires, limit our will to power, and perpetuate self-doubt and powerlessness. This dragon, not a mythical beast from external lands, but a formidable presence within our own psyche, guards the path to true freedom, breathing fire upon any nascent impulse of rebellion or authentic self-assertion. How many dragons of thou shalt not have you unknowingly allowed to guard your inner kingdom? To shatter this moral illusion of powerlessness, Nietzsche offers us the hammer of self-examination. This is not a destructive force, but a precise instrument for ethical autonomy, a three-step technique involving radical self-questioning. First, trace the origin of your most deeply held values. Did they arise from a place of strength, affirmation, and individual will, or were they whispered into your soul by the herd, born of fear, resentment, or a desire for external approval? Second, actively choose which values to affirm, to integrate into your being, and which to discard as mere echoes of another's will. This is the practical application of the revaluation of values in your daily decisions, unveiling the self-imposed limitations that have bound you. Finally, live by these self-chosen values, not as rigid dogma, but as expressions of your evolving, authentic self, transforming confrontation into strength. Only then can we truly begin to dismantle the puppet strings of good and evil and reclaim the sovereign territory of our own will. Have you ever felt a quiet, persistent ache within, a low self-esteem rooted in an unconscious suppression of your own inherent drive for growth? This is the self-imposed prison, built not of stone, but of a fundamental misunderstanding, mistaking authentic power for aggression, for a force that must be contained or feared. This internal restraint, this quiet stifling of your deepest will, leaves you vulnerable, acutely aware of a fear of external control, feeling psychologically weak and easily swayed. It is the insidious belief that your inner fire, if unleashed, would only bring harm rather than illuminate your path to radical independence. How many times have you unconsciously muted your own strength out of a fear of its perceived darkness? This leads us to a crucial distortion, the myth that the will to power is solely about dominating others. Many recoil from this concept, fearing it as a blueprint for tyranny or egoism, but Nietzsche's profound insight unveils a different truth. The will to power is, at its core, an internal striving, an urge for self-overcoming, for growth, for mastery over oneself and one's circumstances. When we misinterpret it as external domination, we surrender our own internal agency, feeling powerless against forces we believe are meant to control us. This misdirection diverts us from the true source of our unshakable power, away from the profound act of self-authorship. To truly become unshakable against manipulation, we must embrace our inner fire, the full spectrum of our will, even those aspects often deemed darker or undesirable. This is the counterintuitive path to genuine resilience. Conventional wisdom often teaches that vulnerability is weakness, that to be strong, one must present an unblemished facade. Yet Nietzsche reveals that true strength emerges from integrating all parts of the self, from accepting the drives and instincts that fuel our being. When we deny these aspects, they do not disappear. They become fertile ground for external manipulation. By understanding and owning these forces, by bringing them into the light of conscious awareness, we cultivate an authentic personal power that is impervious to the subtle attempts to control or diminish us. Embrace the abyss within. It holds the blueprint for your unshakable power. How then do we forge a will immune to external shocks, a spirit that cannot be subtly bent or broken? Nietzsche offers us the profound practice of amor fati, the love of one's fate. This is not passive resignation, but an active, joyous affirmation of everything that has been, everything that is, and everything that will be, including all challenges, adversities, and even manipulations. By embracing these experiences, not as obstacles to be overcome, but as essential components of our becoming, we transform external pressures into internal growth. This radical acceptance renders manipulation impotent, for what can truly harm one who loves even the blows of fate? This daily practice cultivates an authentic power that is self-derived, unyielding, and profoundly free. Your greatest strength lies not in conformity, but in radical self-overcoming. Nietzsche, through the voice of Zarathustra, presents us with a potent symbolic image of the serpent and the eagle. The serpent, winding and close to the earth, embodies wisdom, cunning, and an intimate connection to instinctual truths. The eagle, soaring high above, represents pride, ambition, and the lofty vision of intellect. These are not opposing forces, but complementary aspects of the spirit that must be integrated to achieve true self-overcoming. The serpent teaches us to navigate the complexities of human nature with shrewdness, to see the hidden currents of manipulation. The eagle inspires us to rise above superficiality, to cultivate a higher perspective, free from the entanglements of the herd. When instinct and intellect, earth and sky, are harmoniously united within us, we become impervious to subtle manipulation, overcoming self-doubt and embodying a profound, unshakable inner strength. This is the path to becoming truly sovereign in your own being. Have you ever experienced a profound disorientation of cognitive dissonance, a silent struggle within your own mind as you attempt to reconcile what you intuitively perceive as truth with the truths that are externally imposed upon you? This is the insidious work of unseen filters, subtle yet powerful, shaping not just your opinions, but the very fabric of your reality. This internal conflict can lead to intellectual paralysis, a self-doubt so profound that you begin to question the validity of your own perceptions, leaving you vulnerable to the quiet machinations of those who seek to define your world for you. It is the pain of feeling your own intellectual sovereignty erode, piece by agonizing piece. A common distortion, one that leaves us open to manipulation, is the illusion of objectivity. We are often conditioned conditioned to believe that there is one singular, easily accessible truth out there waiting to be discovered. Yet Nietzsche, with his radical concept of perspectivism, shattered this comfortable illusion. He understood that truth is rarely a fixed, independent entity, but rather a construct shaped by the needs, values, and will to power of those who articulate it. When we fail to grasp how perspectives are constructed, how narratives are woven, we become susceptible to their weaponization, fostering a dangerous dependence on external authorities to define our reality. This makes us feel powerless, easily swayed by the persuasive currents of a manipulative narrative. The unsettling truth, then, is that so-called truth is often a liberating lie, a construct designed to serve a particular agenda. Recognizing this perspectival nature is the first, most crucial step to dismantling manipulative narratives and reclaiming your intellectual independence. This is not to descend into nihilism, but to ascend into a higher form of critical awareness, to see the unseen filters for what they are. It is the unveiling of hidden agendas, the realization that every assertion, every fact carries with it the implicit will of its author. Beyond good and evil lies the path to authentic self-authorship, a path that demands we question everything. To cultivate an unshakable inner strength against those who weaponize perception, we can engage in a powerful perspective shift exercise. This is a practical intellectual technique. Consciously adopt multiple viewpoints on any given situation, belief, or statement presented as truth. Ask yourself, who benefits from this truth? What alternative interpretations are possible? What would this look like from the perspective of someone with entirely different values or experiences? By questioning the origin and utility of each truth, you actively cultivate intellectual independence, unveiling hidden biases, both external and internal. This practice hardens your mind against persuasive manipulation, making you a sovereign interpreter of your own reality. Consider Plato's cave, but reimagine it through a Nietzschean lens. In this reimagined cave, manipulators are not merely passive observers of shadows, but active architects. They craft the very light source, carefully positioning it to cast specific shadows. They design the architecture of the cave walls, dictating the shape and form of what the prisoners perceive as reality. They control the narratives, the whispers, the echoes that fill the space, ensuring that the prisoner's understanding of the world is entirely their making. This analogy highlights the active construction of manipulative realities that foster powerlessness and dependence. It is a stark reminder that the mask you wear is not your true face. Uncover the will beneath. To escape this cave, you must first recognize the artifice of its construction, and then, with radical independence, forge your own light. Have you ever felt a silent unworthiness, a persistent whisper that keeps you from confronting your own inner void, or the uncomfortable truths that reside within? This fear, this aversion to true introspection, often leads to a constant external seeking, a desperate reach for validation from the world outside. It is in this state of dependence that we become most vulnerable to manipulation, allowing others to fill the void we refuse to face, to dictate the value we are too afraid to discover within ourselves. The true measure of your independence is your indifference to external validation. Society often distorts the very essence of solitude, painting it as synonymous with loneliness, weakness, or even failure. We are conditioned to believe that constant connection, endless noise, and the approval of the crowd are markers of a well-lived life. This social imperative fosters a deep-seated fear of judgment, pushing us away from the very crucible where profound self-mastery and radical independence are forged. But what if this perceived isolation is, in fact, a powerful sanctuary, a necessary retreat for the spirit seeking its own unshakable strength? Nietzsche, through the journey of Zarathustra, introduces the powerful symbol of the lion's roar, shattering the myth of dependence. This roar is not merely a societal rebellion, but a profound internal transformation forged in the depths of solitude. It is there, in the quiet solitude that one sheds the heavy cloak of external expectations, casting off the thou shouts that have bound the spirit. In this sacred space, the individual embraces their own law, their unique will to power, breaking free from the insidious grip of powerlessness and unveiling an authentic personal power that is self-derived and unyielding. The mask you wear is not your true face. Uncover the will beneath to fortify yourself against the relentless noise and subtle manipulations of the world. We can adopt a symbolic practice, Zarathustra's retreat. This involves regular, intentional periods of solitude, much like Zarathustra's years in the mountains. This is not about escaping the world permanently, but about consciously stepping away to detoxify from societal influences, to quiet the external clamor that drowns out your inner voice. In this chosen silence, cultivate a profound inner dialogue, allowing your unique will to power to strengthen, to clarify its purpose. This practice is a profound act of psychological fortification, leading to radical independence and an unshakable psychological resilience. Your greatest strength lies not in conformity, but in radical self-overcoming. Through this journey, the individual who has forged their own why in solitude becomes like a star that shines alone. This star, burning with its own fierce light, is impervious to the gravitational pull of others' expectations or manipulations. Its brilliance is not borrowed, but inherent, a testament to profound self-authorship. It stands as a beacon, unswayed by the shifting currents of popular opinion, embodying an authentic personal power and an unshakable self-mastery. To cultivate this inner star is to become a sovereign being, truly free from the dark secret of silent manipulation. Embrace the abyss within. It holds the blueprint for your unshakable power. Have you ever felt a subtle sting of hidden resentments, a silent saboteur within, fueling passive-aggressive behaviors, or a quiet bitterness that corrodes your spirit from the inside? This emotional factor, often lurking beneath the surface, sabotages authentic influence by creating profound vulnerabilities to subtle manipulation. It fosters an internal division, a quiet war within oneself, leaving you susceptible to those who would exploit your unaddressed wounds. This is the heavy cost of carrying the past, a burden that makes you an unwitting puppet to unseen strings. There is a common distortion, one that disguises itself as strength, the victim's veil. We are sometimes led to believe that power is gained through moral indignation or by embracing victimhood, rather than through the arduous path of active self-overcoming and creative affirmation. This passive stance perpetuates powerlessness, binding us to a dependence on external validation, forever seeking vindication from others for the hurts we carry. But authentic power does not lie in recounting grievances. It lies in the radical act of transforming them. Your greatest strength lies not in conformity, but in radical self-overcoming. The counterintuitive truth, then, is that the path of forgiveness, especially for oneself, is not a weakness, but an act of profound self-mastery. Releasing resentment is not about excusing the actions of others, but about liberating yourself. It is a powerful denial to manipulators, stripping them of the leverage your past wounds might offer. This act shatters the cycle of resentment, unveiling a true inner strength that refuses to be defined or limited by what has been done to you. Beyond good and evil lies the path to authentic self-authorship. Nietzsche offers a potent psychological tool for this liberation: active forgetting. This is not a denial of past pain, nor a suppression of memory. Instead, it is a conscious, deliberate redirection of psychic energy away from past grievances and towards future creation. It is the courageous choice to invest your vital force not in dwelling on what was, but in building what can be. By transforming resentment into creative power, you overcome self-doubt and reclaim the boundless energy that was once consumed by the echoes of the past. This is how you forge an unshakable inner strength. Consider Nietzsche's profound metaphor of the three metamorphoses of the spirit. We begin as the camel, burdened by the thou shalt. thoughts, carrying the weight of resentment and obedience, often to unexamined moral codes. This spirit then transforms into the lion, fiercely fighting for freedom, roaring, "I will," against the tyrannical "thou shalt." This is the rebellion against external dictates, the shattering of dependence. Finally, the lion becomes the child, a symbol of innocence, new beginnings, and profound self-authorship. The child embodies a creative affirmation, free from the chains of the past, living in the eternal present, generating its own values and meaning. This journey from camel to lion to child demonstrates the path to overcoming resentment and achieving an authentic, ethical power, liberating one from the silent saboteur and the subtle manipulations that seek to exploit our unhealed wounds. Embrace the abyss within. It holds the blueprint for your unshakable power. We have journeyed through the shadowy corridors of silent manipulation, unveiling its pervasive nature, from the subtle puppet strings of good and evil to the insidious erosion of our perception of reality. We confronted the self-imposed prisons born from a misunderstanding of our own will to power, and faced the silent saboteur of resentment that makes us vulnerable. This undertaking was not for the faint of heart, for it demanded an unflinching gaze into the hidden truths of human nature and the quiet wounds that often dictate our lives. It is a profound pain to realize how much of one's life might have been lived under the subtle sway of another's will, yet in that realization lies the seed of ultimate liberation. This path, illuminated by Nietzsche's radical insights, is not about gaining power over others, but about claiming the profound power within oneself. It is a sacred journey of self-authorship where you become the sculptor of your soul, chipping away at the external expectations and internalized narratives that do not serve your deepest truth. To cultivate an unshakable inner fortress means to create your own values, to choose your own destiny, and to become the sovereign ruler of your inner kingdom. The mask you wear is not your true face. Uncover the will beneath. This is the essence of true freedom, a radical independence that cannot be bought, sold, or manipulated. The process of Nietzschean self-overcoming is not a destination, but a continuous becoming. It is a challenging, yet ultimately liberating dance with the abyss of your own potential. Each confrontation with an external manipulation, each moment of introspection into your own hidden wounds, is an opportunity for growth, for forging a will that is ever more resilient, ever more authentic. Your greatest strength lies not in conformity, but in radical self-overcoming. This ongoing transformation, this relentless pursuit of your highest self, is the only true antidote to the dark secret of silent manipulation. Through this unwavering commitment to self-mastery, you will build an impenetrable inner fortress, a sanctuary where authentic personal power thrives and psychological resilience becomes your second nature. You will stand as a star that shines alone, radiating a light born from your own depths, unswayed by the gravitational pull of others' expectations. This is the ethical pathway to radical self-mastery and intellectual independence. Echoing Nietzsche's profound imperative, become who you are. Will you answer the call to this continuous becoming, to embrace the abyss within and truly forge your unshakable power?